under the Emancipation Proclamation.
I open my mouth to the Lord, and I won't turn back. I will go, I shall go, to see what the end's gonna be.
Well, who's that yonder dressed in red?
This nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will may be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. My poor little children one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today that freedom ring, and if America is to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. When we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, he will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we'll free at last.
History is indeed made up of significant events which shape our future, and outstanding leaders who influence our destiny. Is it possible for one man to influence an entire nation? Martin Luther King proved this to be true. Martin Luther King's contributions to our history placed him in that high position. In his short life, Martin Luther King was instrumental in helping us realize and make right those unspeakable flaws which were tarnishing the name of America. The events which took place in and around his life were earth-shattering, for they represented an America which was hostile and quite different from America as we see it today. Today we will inform you about Martin Luther King and his inspirational I Have a Dream speech, which he gave in front of 250,000 people on the steps of the Washington Monument on August 28, 1963, which influenced many and helped change the world. We will first tell you why we chose Martin Luther King as our speaker. Second, the significance of his speech, and lastly, why he inspires not only the three of us, but millions all over the world. Now Aaron will speak about why we chose him as our speaker.
When will you be satisfied? We will never be satisfied. Just one of the many memorable quotes made by Dr. Martin Luther King in his I Have a Dream speech on August 28, 1963. We chose Dr. Martin Luther King as our speaker because he is not only an historical figure for the black community, but also as an American icon. MLK is one of the most captivating American heroes of our time, following the footsteps of America's greatest heroes such as George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, and John F. Kennedy. The name of Martin Luther King has remained unforgettable and is justifiably so. Mr. King stood for what he believed in and was a man far ahead of his time. In a time where many ethnicities found it difficult to obtain jobs and to walk side by side with all different backgrounds, he dedicated and sacrificed for the equality of all people. His dream, which many still share, has continued to live on, and his heroic legacy will never die. Now Richard will inform you on on the significance of the speech and how it captivated millions.
Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream speech remains one of the most famous speeches in American history. He started with preferred remarks saying he was there to cash a check for freedom, a check for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, while warning fellow protesters not to allow our creative protest degenerate into physical force with soul force. But then he departed from his script, shifting into the I Have a Dream speech he used in prior occasions, drawing the both American dream and religious dream, speaking of an America where his children will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. He followed this with exhortation to let freedom ring across the nation, and conclude with, and when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let freedom from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, there will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews, Gentiles, Protestants, and Catholics will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, let freedom ring, free at last, free at last. Oh God, we're free at last. Now Ashley will inform you on why Martin Luther King inspires us.
The reason why Martin Luther King inspires us is because he fought for everybody's rights, not only blacks, but Hispanics and Asians. He is an iconic figure for civil rights. He changed many people's perspectives on racial issues. He took part in founding the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, the Montgomery bus boycott, and was leader at the March in Washington. Being inspired by figures such as Gandhi and Rosa Parks, many people say it's possible that he laid the foundation for future inspirational leaders such as Cesar Chavez, JFK, and President Barack Obama. On April 4th, 1968, at the age of 39, Martin Luther King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, but his legacy will never be forgotten. In the words of Dr. King, march ahead.